Ikechukwu unrolled the scroll and began to chant the incantations, his voice steady and strong. As he spoke the final words, a blinding light enveloped the shrine and the ground trembled. In the palace, King Chibueze felt a sudden excruciating pain. He fell to the floor, clutching his chest as the dark magic that had sustained him for years began to unravel. Once upon a time, in the bountiful land of Hala Igbo, there existed a kingdom named Umunneochi. This kingdom was ruled by King Chibueze, a man whose reign was marked by prosperity, but also by an ominous tradition. Each year, on the eve of the new Yam Festival, King Chibueze would command the execution of a male villager. This sacrifice, he claimed, was a ritual necessary to appease the gods and retain his power. The people of Umunneochi were deeply religious and fearful of the supernatural. They believed that the king's edict, as cruel as it was, kept their land fertile and their lives bountiful. They dare not question the king's wisdom, lest they incur the wrath of the gods. Among the villagers lived a wise and elderly man named Amadi. Amadi had served as the kingdom's chief advisor during the reign of King Chibueze's father, King Ezeoke. He knew many secrets of the royal family, but he chose to live a quiet life after King Ezeoke's death. He was the guardian of the ancient knowledge and often pondered over the strange and dark customs that are taking root under the new king. Amadi's grandson, Ikechukwu, was a brave and curious young man. Ikechukwu often questioned the necessity of the yearly sacrifice. He did not understand why the gods, who were supposed to be just and loving, would demand such a horrific act. His questions were usually met with warnings from the elders, who feared the king's wrath. Yet, Ikechukwu could not quell the unrest in his heart. One evening, as the new Yam Festival approached, Ikechukwu visited his grandfather. "Grandfather," Ikechukwu began, "why must we continue this barbaric tradition? Why must a life be taken every year for our land to thrive?" Amadi sighed deeply, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of sorrow and wisdom. "My son, the ways of the gods are not always clear to us, but there is more to this story than what the king tells the people. Sit, and I will tell you a tale that has long been hidden." Ikechukwu sat at his grandfather's feet, eager to hear what Amadi had to say. The old man's voice dropped to a whisper, as if the words themselves had ears. "Many years ago, when King Chibueze was but a prince, he was not the man you see today. He was kind and just, much like his father, King Ezeoke. But something changed when he ascended the throne. He became consumed by a thirst for power and immortality." Amadi paused, his eyes distant, as if reliving the events of the past. One night, after King Ezeoke's death, Chibueze encountered a mysterious stranger in the palace. This stranger was a sorcerer of great power, who promised the young king eternal rule if he followed a dark ritual. This ritual required the blood of an innocent each year to strengthen the king's bond with the supernatural forces that granted him power. Ikechukwu's eyes widened in horror. "Are you saying that the sacrifices are not to appease the gods, but to feed the king's dark magic?" Amadi nodded solemnly. "Yes, my son. The king has deceived the people, using their faith and fear to mask his own greed and cruelty. The gods do not demand blood. It is the king who demands it to sustain his unnatural reign." Determined to end the cycle of bloodshed, Ikechukwu and Amadi devised a plan. They knew they needed allies, and they found them in unexpected places. One of them was Chinwe, the daughter of the king's chief guard, who had long been troubled by the yearly sacrifices. Another was Uchenna, a blacksmith whose brother had been one of the king's victims. The night before the New Yam Festival, Ikechukwu, Chinwe, and Uchenna gathered in Amadi's hut. The old man handed Ikechukwu an ancient scroll. This contained the incantations and rituals needed to break the king's dark pact. "You must perform it at the shrine of Amadioha, the god of justice." The shrine was located deep in the forbidden forest, a few dared to enter. But Ikechukwu's resolve was unshakable. With Chinwe and Uchenna by his side, he set off into the night, guided by the light of a full moon. The forest was alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, and shadows danced hairy in the moonlight. As they ventured deeper, they encountered obstacles, treacherous paths, wild animals, and hairy silence that seemed to follow their every step. But their determination pushed them forward. Finally, they reached the shrine of Amadioha, an ancient structure overgrown with vines and moss. Ikechukwu unrolled the scroll and began to chant the incantations, his voice steady and strong. As he spoke the final words, a blinding light enveloped the shrine, and the ground trembled. In the palace, King Chibueze felt a sudden excruciating pain. He fell to the floor, clutching his chest as the dark magic that had sustained him for years began to unravel. The villagers, unaware of the events unfolding, gathered for the festival, their hearts heavy with the anticipation of another loss. Back to the shrine, the light slowly faded, and Ikechukwu, Chinwe, and Uchenna found themselves surrounded by an delicate presence. It was Amadioha himself, who had heard their plea for justice. "You have done well, brave ones," the god's voice echoed. "The dark pact is broken, and the king's reign of terror is at an end. Return to your people and lead them with wisdom and compassion." As they made their way back to the village, dawn was breaking, and the first rays of sunlight bathed the land in a golden glow. The villagers, sensing that something extraordinary had happened, gathered around Ikechukwu and his companions. With a voice full of emotion, Ikechukwu recounted the truth about the sacrifices and the king's dark magic. The people listened in shock and disbelief, but as they looked into Ikechukwu's eyes, they saw the sincerity and courage of a true leader. At that moment, King Chibueze, weakened and defeated, was brought before the villagers. No longer a figure of fear, he was a broken man stripped of his power. The elders, led by Amadi, decreed that King Chibueze would be exiled, never to return. The villagers cheered, their voices echoing with newfound hope and freedom. Under Ikechukwu's leadership, Umunneochi flourished. The people worked together to rebuild their lives, free from the shadow of fear. The yearly sacrifice was abolished, and the new Yam Festival became a true celebration of life and abundance. Amadi, proud of his grandson, knew that Umunneochi was in good hands. He spent his remaining days imparting his wisdom to Ikechukwu, ensuring that the mistake of the past would not be repeated. And so, the land of Ala Igbo thrived, guided by the principles of justice, compassion, and unity. The story of Ikechukwu's bravery and the fall of the Dark King became a legend, a reminder to a future generations that true power lies not in fear and deceit, but in the courage to do what is right. The moral lesson of this story is that power, when sought and maintained through deceit and cruelty, leads to corruption and downfall. King Chibueze's reliance on dark magic and deception ultimately leads to his own destruction. True leadership should be built on justice and compassion, not fear and manipulation. Thank you so much for watching. If you love our story, please do well to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the post notification bell so that you can get notified anytime we drop a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remain blessed until I see you in the next video. Bye.